I'll admit it, I didn't believe it. I thought the Great Resignation was nothing more than clickbait. I thought the threat that 40, 50, 60% of certain segments of the workforce were going to quit their jobs without even having another job lined up. I thought that was exaggerated. 11.2 million job openings as of last month can't be true. And yet, it's true. It's happening. And if you're not part of it, you may feel like you're missing out and a case of FOMO kicks in. So let's figure out how you can benefit from the Great Resignation. Hi, my name's James Callahan, and this is the Do-Over Show, where we test things like clickbait, like the Great Resignation, to see whether it's true. And we figure out how it can help us. A new set of numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics tells us that the Great Resignation is great and it's real. It's gaining traction. The Great Resignation in all its gory glory. The headline is a record high 4.4 million people, or 3% of the workforce, quit their job in September, according to the Labor Department latest job openings and labor turnover survey released just last week. That's crazy. And here's the interesting part. There are ways that you can benefit from the Great Resignation besides just switching for a job. Hey, a little anecdote to start. I have a friend who saw all the news about the Great Resignation and decided to look for another job. And all they found was the same kind of job, making the same kind of money with the same kind of incentives, maybe an extra pizza party, but there was no material benefit for them to switch. When they got a 2.5% increase on their salary this year, they said, the Great Resignation, no. I'm resigned to staying in this job because I make more money doing this than all the upset and emotional turmoil of having to switch a new job, learn a new company, start a new commute. But for most of us who have even heard a hint of the Great Resignation, let's look at the numbers and let's figure out how it can help us. Now, the greatest number of quitters in last month, and the 4.4 million who quit, and the month before that, and the 4.2 million who quit, and the month before that, and the 4 million who quit. You get the trend? Well, the greatest number are in the hospitality sector or in the food service business. So I guess McDonald's isn't their kind of place. And with 11.2 million job openings last month, with 4.4 million people quitting, there's a disconnect that's putting pressure on the labor market, not just on entry-level jobs or minimum wage jobs, but on the middle ground of salary jobs. Now, of the people that worked through salary jobs during 2020 and 2021 when the virus hit, not only did they have to adapt to working from home or working remotely or working dressed up from the waist up and pajamas and slippers from the waist down, but they also got a benefit. They might not have seen a significant increase in their salary, but they were spending less. They were saving more. And with the market at all-time highs, even if they just socked everything away, they have more money now than they did 2 years ago. The incentive to find a new job, even in today's tough labor market, has never been higher and has never been more attractive to people. Behind all of this is a trend which started well before 2020, well before the virus, that you will make up to 10 to 20% more if you regularly switch jobs rather than sitting in the same job and earning a 2 to 5% wage increase year over year. So that's middle income salaried workers. By the way, there's a new article with a study that says that almost 60% of people who make more than $100,000 a year in salary, they're considering looking for new work as well. So this trend has been with us, but now it's picking up steam. And that is an incentive to people in a job market where maybe it's your market, finally, for you to take advantage of that, to ask for more, to receive more in salary, more than a 2 to 5% average annual increase in your salary. By the way, you'd have to work at a job between 10 and 15 years at those average annual increases to equal the amount of money more you would receive if you had 3 to 4 different jobs over the same time period with incremental increases. Yep, it's always been to your advantage to look to switch from your company to another company, even doing the same work. That is, if your industry is feeling the pressure. There are some parts of the industry that are still flooded with job seekers. I have friends in the area of hiring who tell me that they still get hundreds of applications for middle-level jobs. That is, it's just their market and it's not our market. But for certain roles in certain sectors, information technology and skilled labor fields, in engineering, in some sectors of the nonprofit world, not all, there is pressure to fill jobs. Why? Because those are the sectors that are generating income. They're making more and they need more people in order to make more. That is, maybe the tide has turned for that industry, and if they don't have the right people, if they don't have you in that new job that they need to hire for, they're going to miss out. So they're incentivized to hire you. Now, in many states, there is a labor law which prohibits someone until they make an offer to you in some states. You can check locally with your state labor law. But they can't ask, how much do you make now? And I'll just give you 5% more. That is, you can go from a $50,000 a year job and make an ask for a $75,000 a year salary, and they'll never know that you're asking for a 50% increase. They can't know. If they do know, you need to call somebody. But what that tells us is that this is a great time for you to consider, at least look and put yourself out there. Look at the market and see whether or not there's a high demand for people like you. So here's the advice about how to take advantage of this from the employment services sector. And the first is to, yes, float your resume out there, to start to apply to jobs. Consider jobs and titles that are at least one step above your current title. Now, what that means is that, yes, you're going to stretch yourself, but it's at times like this when people who are hiring need people, experienced people to move into positions that they're not looking for somebody with a track record of 20 years of experience. They want to use you and build your experience with their company. They're willing to take a chance. 10 years ago, it would have been risky. Today, it's necessary to hire people and to bring them into roles that even they haven't done before. The next thing you can do is, if you do get a job opportunity, to always make an ask. Always negotiate the salary range. Now, if there is a defined salary range that they tell you up front, well, if it's an equal move and it's just a lateral move, unless you have a culturally toxic situation that you need to escape, then there's not really a lot of benefit in just moving to a lateral position, making the same amount of money with all the new and upset associated with it. Yes, there may be a promised opportunity for advancement, but until they actually pay you and until you get that opportunity, it's all just smoke and mirrors. So what you can do is right away when you're starting to negotiate is to never just accept, but to always negotiate a little bit more. Now, that's a wise thing to do in any job situation, but especially now when the job market is in your favor. It's your market. Now, the next thing to do is that you can play the old squeeze play, and you can go back to your employer and say, hey, I've been looking at opportunities, you know the way the job market is today, and I'd like to tell you that I have a couple opportunities that are going to pay me between 5 and 10 or 20% more in my job. By the way, the higher the number you go, the more reason they have to say, I can't possibly pay you that. So you have to be modest with it and maybe even downsell it. Maybe it's worth it for you to get a 10% wage increase, even though you could get a 15% wage increase elsewhere. It's your story to tell. Use that to your advantage. You go to your employer and say, hey, I've been looking around. It's an interesting market out there. I know you feel the pressure. Well, they have been given an opportunity for a wage increase doing the same job, or maybe a little more responsibility, maybe a little more promise, maybe a promotion, maybe a title, and get their response. If they say, you know what, God bless you, have a great time, we just don't have the room here or the money to pay you, well, then you know that you'll be appreciated more elsewhere. But you can use that to your advantage. Now, you can't do it all the time like the boy who cried wolf, but you can use it that one time to say, I really don't want to move, but I really want more money. How do I negotiate that? This is how. There's another important thing to keep in your mind as you work through this, and if you do land a job, and it does make you a lot of money, unless you have a non-compete agreement that you have to negotiate, that is, when you resign, you give the standard notice in your industry, or that's required in your HR manual, and you tell them, hey, I'm giving you 2 weeks notice. You don't have to explain why. You don't play, this place sucks, my boss is horrible, there's no advancement. You can just say, I'm pursuing other opportunities elsewhere. You don't even have to tell them that you have another job already lined up, that you're going to start on the Monday after your last Friday with your current job. You're not obligated to do an exit interview. You're not obligated to tell them everything that's wrong. Really, what's that going to do for you except build you a track record where you burn every damn bridge behind you? Just tell them, look, I found another opportunity, or I'm going to pursue other opportunities. Thank you for the chance to do this and this and this. And you list off, you tick off your successes with the company, and you tell them, I wish you well. I'll help with any transition I can. It's been my pleasure to serve with you, to work with you, to be in this together. And you say goodbye on good terms. Another bit of advice that's out there is to take a break between your jobs. Don't just quit on a Friday and show up on Monday morning. Take a break if you can afford it, if the money's there, if you've got some PTO that they're going to pay you. Whatever it is, arrange, even if it straps you just a little bit. Just take a break and get a chance to do something. Your laundry, clean the damn house. I don't care what it is. Do something different in between. But take that break for yourself, because in most jobs, you're not going to accrue time off until you get a few months into your job. That means you're going to be working nonstop. Unless you're getting a huge increase and they need you desperately yesterday, most of us will benefit from a couple days off, a week off, a month off. So instead of being concerned and suffering from FOMO that you're missing out on all that great money other people are making, put yourself out there, float your resume. Now, some employers will come back and say, I feel like you've violated a trust by looking for another job. If that's the case, do you really need to work for someone that insecure, that thinks they own you, and that you can't even figure out what your worth is on the open market? What kind of a boss do you work for? So if you do get yourself in a situation where, hey, you're going to find out that you can make more, 5, 10, 20% more at another job, then you get to make the decision. Yeah, finally, you get to make a decision about your job. You get to choose not only your job, where you'll work, but you also get to choose that you're going to make more money. Hey, and thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. I hope this quick look at the Great Resignation has helped you and given you ideas to figure out ways that you can leverage this market in your favor, because it is in your favor. And hey, thanks for being here. Please tap the like button because it really helps. And while you're there, how about you subscribe and ring the notifications bell so you don't miss an episode. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.